My girlfriend admitted she never loved me, right after I paid off her student loans. If you'd asked me a year ago what love looked like, I would have pointed at her. Sarah, the girl who used to fall asleep on my chest while watching documentaries. The one who cried when I surprised her with tickets to her favorite indie band. The same girl I stood beside through 2 brutal years of graduate school. I thought I knew what we had. I thought she felt it too. We met in the campus bookstore. She was thumbing through a used biology textbook with that intense, thoughtful frown she always had when she was concentrating. I asked if she was pre-med. She laughed and said, trying to be, if Sally Mae doesn't crush my soul first. That was our first conversation. Student loans. A pretty bleak place to start, but it became this running joke between us. She'd joke about becoming a bartender instead of a doctor. I'd tease her about marrying rich and letting some hedge fund guy take care of her. She'd always roll her eyes and say, nah, I'll find a guy who believes in me, someone who thinks my future's worth investing in. And somehow, that stuck. Fast forward 3 years, and I was that guy. Sarah and I moved in together after graduation. She got accepted into a competitive post-grad program in Boston, and I took a job in tech support to keep the lights on while she chased her dream. I didn't mind. I actually felt kind of proud, like I was part of something bigger than myself, something we were building together. Her debt hung over us like a storm cloud, almost $72,000. I remember the exact number because I had it written in a spreadsheet labeled Our Future. She was always worried. She'd cry sometimes late at night, thinking I was asleep, whispering to herself that she'd never get out from under it. So I started saving. Every bonus, every freelance gig, every tax return, I tucked it away. I didn't tell her at first. I wanted it to be a surprise. When I finally paid off her loans, it was a Thursday night. She'd just gotten home from a late rotation, her scrubs wrinkled, her hair in a messy bun. I sat her down on the couch, handed her a sealed envelope, and watched her open it. She didn't speak for a full minute. Then she looked at me and said, You did this? You really paid all of it? I smiled. All of it. You're free, Sarah. She started crying. I pulled her into a hug, thinking they were happy tears. Thinking this moment would be the highlight of our story, the part we'd tell our kids about one day. But then she pulled away, and the look on her face wasn't gratitude, it wasn't relief, it was guilt, heavy, suffocating guilt. That was the first moment I felt something was wrong. I didn't understand it then, not yet, but the moment burned into me. She said, We need to talk. I swear to God my stomach dropped through the floor. I nodded slowly. Okay, what about? She took a deep breath, and just like that, she said it. I don't think I ever really loved you, Alex. The words didn't register at first, not fully. I waited for the punchline, for the, just kidding, for anything other than the silence that followed. She just stared at me with eyes full of something, maybe regret, maybe relief. I asked, What are you talking about? But she didn't answer right away. And in that endless, echoing silence, my world, our world, began to fall apart. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, she said, eyes flicking between mine and the envelope still sitting open on the table. You didn't mean for what to happen? I asked, my voice tight. She folded her hands in her lap, her fingers trembling slightly. I never meant to take advantage of you. I didn't plan this. I got comfortable. You were always there. And I thought maybe that was enough. I laughed, not a real laugh, the kind that escapes when your brain short-circuits and doesn't know how else to react. You thought maybe it was enough? Sarah, I've been paying bills, cooking dinners, cheering you on, planning our future. You let me pay off your student loans. That wasn't maybe. That was everything. She looked down, shame pooling in her eyes, but her voice was steady. I didn't ask you to. That hit like a punch to the ribs. She wasn't wrong, technically. I had done it on my own, but she knew I was saving. She knew how much I cared. And not once did she stop me. Not once did she say, Hey, maybe don't bankrupt yourself for me. I thought we were building something, I said quietly. Sarah swallowed hard. I think I tried to convince myself of that too, but I always knew deep down that something was missing. What was missing? I snapped. Love? Effort? Honesty? Her silence answered for her. I stood up. I couldn't sit still. The apartment suddenly felt too small, too loud, too full of memories. I walked to the kitchen, then back to the living room, hands shaking. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. You could have told me, I said, my voice cracking. You could have told me, 6 months ago, a year ago. You could have stopped this before I gave you everything I had. She wiped her eyes. I know. I was scared. I didn't want to be alone. That broke something in me. You didn't want to be alone, so you strung me along like a safety net? I asked. You kept me around because I made life easier for you? I'm sorry, she whispered. I shook my head. No, you're not. Not really. She didn't deny it. I walked to the bedroom and opened the closet, grabbing the first duffel bag I could find. My hands moved on autopilot, stuffing in shirts, jeans, socks. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't sleep under that roof another night. Sarah stood in the doorway, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Where will you go? She asked. I paused. I don't know. My brother's place. A hotel. Anywhere but here. She nodded, but didn't move. As I zipped the bag shut, I turned to her one last time. You know, for a while, I actually thought we'd get married. I know, she said softly. Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just going to let me keep giving until I had nothing left? She hesitated for a moment. I think I was waiting until after graduation. I told myself it would be easier then. It took everything in me not to scream. Instead, I walked past her, duffel over my shoulder, and headed for the door. And just as I stepped out, she said behind me, I did care about you, Alex. Just not the way you deserved. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I walked into the night with a half-empty bag, an empty bank account, and a heart so hollow it echoed. I ended up crashing at my brother Jason's place that night. He didn't ask too many questions, just saw the look on my face, opened the door wide, and handed me a cold beer. That first sip burned, not because of the alcohol, but because I was trying hard not to let the tears fall. He gave me a blanket and a pillow for the couch, then turned down the lights. We'll talk tomorrow, bro, he said. Sleep if you can. I didn't. I lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to replay every moment from the past 3 years. Every anniversary, every coffee I brought her while she studied, every weekend we spent curled up on the couch binge-watching shows she picked. I wondered if she was pretending during all of it. Was every smile fake? Was I just a warm place to land until she could afford to fly? Morning came with a pounding headache, and not just the emotional kind. I hadn't eaten in over a day, and my body felt like it had been dragged through gravel. Jason slid a plate of scrambled eggs and toast in front of me. Start talking, he said gently. So I did. I told him everything, how I had paid off her student loans last week as a surprise, how she froze when I handed her the receipt, and how she confessed that she never truly loved me. Jason listened without interrupting, but the look in his eyes was pure fury. She used you, man, he said finally. That's cold. I nodded. Yeah, but part of me let it happen. I wanted to believe she loved me back. He leaned forward. You're not dumb for believing that. You loved her. Real love makes you blind sometimes. That's not weakness. That's heart. It felt good to hear that. Not enough to fix the hole in my chest, but enough to stop the bleeding for a while. The next few days were rough. I couldn't eat without feeling nauseous. Couldn't sleep without dreaming of her face. I muted all our mutual friends on social media. I needed distance. I needed to forget. But forgetting wasn't easy when your bank account stared back at you with a balance just north of zero. I had spent $34,000 paying off her debt. That was money I had been saving for years, skipping vacations, working overtime, selling my car. I had imagined us starting a life together with that foundation. Maybe a down payment on a house, maybe a honeymoon in Europe, maybe a future. Now all I had was resentment and a duffel bag. I called the loan company, asked if there was any way to reverse the payment. No dice. It was in her name. I was just a generous fool who footed the bill. My job, thankfully, didn't care that I came in late and barely said a word for a week. I guess they figured I was going through something. They were right. I just didn't have the words to explain it. One afternoon, while scrolling through my phone, I found a picture of Sarah and me at the lake. It was the first trip we ever took together. She was laughing, wet hair clinging to her cheeks, looking at me like I was the only person in the world. That moment had felt real. Had she lied even then? I deleted the photo, not out of anger, out of self-preservation. She had already taken my savings. I couldn't let her keep the space in my mind too. That night, I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to let this define me. I was going to rebuild, even if it took years. But I had no idea what was coming next. 2 weeks passed. I'd stopped sleeping on Jason's couch and moved into a short-term rental across town. It was nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with beige walls, no kitchen table, and the constant hum of traffic outside. But it was mine. And more importantly, it didn't have any memories of her in it. I started picking up freelance work on the side, anything to distract myself and slowly refill that empty bank account. Every dollar I earned felt like a small victory over her ghost. I was healing, quietly, I thought that was the end of it, but then I got a text from her. Sarah, I hope you're doing okay. I never meant to hurt you. My hands trembled. I stared at the message for a full 10 minutes before even thinking of replying, but I didn't. Not then, not the next day either. I wasn't ready to talk, and frankly, I didn't know what I'd say, but curiosity has a way of creeping in, so a few days later, I looked her up on Instagram. Her profile was still public, and there it was, a smiling picture of her holding hands with a guy I didn't recognize. A fancy rooftop bar in the background. The caption? Some people make you feel like home the moment you meet them. It had only been 3 weeks since she'd dumped me. 3 weeks. I couldn't breathe. I clicked through her feed. He was in several pictures, restaurant dinners, hiking trails, cozy selfies. The timestamps didn't lie. He'd been in her life long before she dropped her confession on me. She hadn't fallen out of love. She'd moved on before she ever told me the truth. It wasn't heartbreak anymore. It was betrayal. And the worst part? That loan money was likely paying for the sushi dates, hotel rooms, and matching Patagonia jackets in those photos. My money. The one thing I'd given freely, because I thought love meant sacrifice. The rage hit me hard, not the loud shout-at-the-walls kind. This was quiet, steady, and white-hot. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure. So I finally texted back. Me. I saw the pictures. You owe me an explanation. Just one. She replied instantly. Sarah, can we talk? In person? We met at a coffee shop near campus, neutral territory. She showed up in a beige sweater, hair tied back like nothing had changed. She looked the same, but I didn't recognize her anymore. She sat down, gave a faint smile. I'm sorry, she said. I said nothing. She started talking, said she'd been confused, said she thought she loved me at first, but something changed. That she didn't cheat, but she did meet someone new, and realized what she had with me wasn't love. She said the loan payoff pushed her over the edge, that she felt guilty, that it made her question everything. I waited, let her finish. Then I asked, so you let me pay off your debt knowing you didn't love me? She looked away. I didn't plan it like that. I swear. I was just scared. I didn't want to be alone. That hurt worse than if she'd just said yes. I stood up. I gave you everything I had, and you gave me an empty space in return. She reached out across the table. I didn't mean for this to happen. I pulled back, but it did, and now I have to live with it. I left, didn't look back, but her voice echoed in my head all the way home. I didn't cry after that last meeting, not a single tear. It was strange. I'd expected to feel broken again, like the first night I left her apartment, but I didn't. Instead, I felt emptied out, hollow, but somehow clean, like the final piece of a rotten structure had finally collapsed, and I could start building something new. The next few weeks were quiet. I kept my head down, worked long hours, picked up extra shifts. Every paycheck chipped away at the financial crater she'd left behind. I made a spreadsheet just to track my progress. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about taking back control. Jason called me one night, said he saw her downtown, laughing with the new guy at a wine bar. Didn't want to tell you to mess with your head, he said, but thought you'd rather hear it from me than someone else. I thanked him. I meant it, but it didn't twist my stomach the way I thought it might. That chapter was already closed. She could laugh, drink, live her life. I didn't want to be part of it anymore. What haunted me wasn't her. It was the me who existed while I was with her. The guy who ignored red flags, who thought love was something you proved with your bank account, who confused guilt-tripped gratitude for real affection. I hated that guy a little, but I also felt sorry for him. He just wanted to be loved back. One afternoon, a notification pinged on my phone. Sarah has requested to follow you. I stared at it, let it sit, and then I hit decline. I blocked her too. Not out of anger, but because I finally understood that healing doesn't mean leaving the door cracked open. Sometimes you have to slam it shut, seal the edges, and walk away without a backward glance. With her gone, the silence in my new apartment started to feel less like a void and more like peace. I started jogging again, reconnected with old friends. I even went on a date, a quiet coffee shop meetup with a girl named Lila who talked about books and didn't once ask what kind of car I drove or what my credit score was. It was simple. No expectations, no pressure. I didn't know if it would go anywhere, and that was okay. One night, I sat down and looked at my old bank records. The loan payment still showed up. $42,000 gone in one click. I laughed to myself, not bitterly, just like someone looking at a photo of a bad haircut from high school. I wouldn't get the money back. And yeah, it still stung, but I realized something important that night. She didn't take everything. She didn't take my kindness, my capacity to love, my future. She just took advantage of someone who hadn't learned how to protect himself yet. Now I had. The lessons she left behind were expensive, but they were mine, and they'd stick with me far longer than she ever would. So yeah, I got played, used, lied to, but I survived. And better yet, I grew. And the next time I fall in love, it won't be because someone needs saving. It'll be because someone sees me, truly sees me, and loves me right back. No debt attached, no lies hidden, just real honest love. And that's worth waiting for.